It started with a press conference. April 2026. The Pentagon's servers nearly crashed under the weight of a single event. Within minutes of a presidential announcement, a government website went live, and millions of people flooded in at once. On social media, Donald Trump posted 3 words: "The first batch is out." For the first time in modern history, a sitting U.S. president had publicly released classified files on unidentified aerial phenomena, videos, satellite images, intelligence reports, 30 minutes of never-before-seen military footage, and a photograph, grainy, black and white, taken sometime in the 1940s, showing what appeared to be a body being carried away from a crash site. After nearly 80 years of denial, after destroyed careers and silenced witnesses and official ridicule, the vault was finally opened. And that's exactly what makes this story so strange. Because if there's one thing history has taught us, it's that nothing a government reveals comes without a reason. The real question isn't what was released. The real question is, why now? Here's what most people don't know. This isn't a new story. It's just the chapter we were finally allowed to see. Ancient Egyptian papyrus scrolls describe rings of fire tearing across the sky. Hindu texts from thousands of years ago reference flying machines called Vimanas engaged in aerial combat. And if you look closely at Renaissance paintings, the kind hanging in major museums depicting saints and kings and sacred landscapes, in the background, almost too small to notice, there's always something that doesn't belong. An object hovering, a disc-shaped figure disappearing into clouds, as if the phenomenon had been woven through the entire length of human history, visible to anyone willing to look, ignored by everyone who wasn't. Maybe that's been the point all along, because for decades, looking too closely at this topic came with a price. July 8th, 1947. Roswell, New Mexico. Something falls out of the sky onto a ranch in the desert. The U.S. Army issues an official press release. "We have recovered a flying disc." 24 hours later, they issue a second statement. Disregard that. It was a weather balloon. 24 hours between one version of reality and another. Major Jesse Marcel, the intelligence officer who personally collected the wreckage, was ordered to stay quiet. He didn't speak publicly until 1978, 31 years later. That was Roswell. In 1954, the military formalized its silence with a regulation called JNIP 146. Under this rule, any pilot who reported an unidentified object over an open radio channel could face criminal charges, fines, even court-martial. See something, say nothing. Then, in 1968, the government commissioned a major scientific study, the Condon Report, which officially concluded that investigating UFOs was a waste of time. With that, the academic establishment had its permission slip. Any scientist willing to take the subject seriously risked professional suicide. Almost any scientist. J. Allen Hynek was an astronomer, and for nearly 2 decades, he was the U.S. government's official UFO debunker. His job was simple: take every report that came into the Air Force, find a logical explanation, and send it back as something ordinary. A weather balloon, a planet, a weather phenomenon, swamp gas. He was the man paid to make the mystery disappear, until he couldn't. Hynek started speaking publicly about something that wouldn't go away. A small but consistent percentage of cases that had no rational explanation. Not one. No matter how many times he ran them through the standard filters, they came back unexplained. He said so out loud, and the moment he did, the career he had spent a lifetime building began to unravel. The university where he led the astronomy department quietly distanced itself. Colleagues stopped returning calls. His research was reclassified, not as controversial, but as beneath consideration. The message was clear. There are things you're not supposed to find. But the silencing wasn't just academic. In 1977, a Brazilian Air Force captain named Urangue Holanda led what became known as Operation Saucer, a classified military investigation into strange aerial phenomena occurring over the Amazon region of Pará. For nearly 20 years, Holanda followed orders. He stayed quiet. He said nothing publicly. Then, in 1997, he decided to speak. In a series of recorded interviews, he described objects that moved in ways no known aircraft could, maneuvers that defied the laws of physics as his team understood them. Shortly after those interviews were released, Holanda was found dead. His death was officially ruled a suicide. In Huntsville, Alabama, in the summer of 2022, a 34-year-old scientist with a remarkable background suddenly began sending alarming messages to people she trusted. Her name was Amy Eskridge. She had co-founded an organization called the Institute for Exotic Science alongside her father, a retired NASA propulsion engineer. Her research focused on advanced propulsion and anti-gravity technology. The kind of physics that sounds like science fiction until you realize it's the same physics behind what's been documented in declassified UAP footage for decades. In May of 2022, Amy began telling friends she was being followed, that cars with illegally tinted windows were parked outside her home, that she was being watched. She sent a text message that said, "If you see anything in the news saying I killed myself, that is not what happened." She knew she was in danger, so she left a recorded account. Weeks later, she was gone. Now, here's where this story shifts, because everything I've just told you, Roswell, JNAP 146, the suppression of scientists, the silencing of military witnesses, all of that is history. It's documented. It's been reported. But here's what isn't being reported. If the US government spent 80 years hiding this information aggressively, systematically, at enormous cost, why would they suddenly give it away? Think about it. A secret protected for 8 decades doesn't just get handed over because someone in Washington decided the public deserved to know. That's not how power works. That's never been how power works. So ask yourself, who benefits from the American public suddenly believing in alien life? To understand the answer, you have to understand a pattern that repeats itself throughout modern history. Every significant expansion of government power has one thing in common. It follows a crisis. September 11th, 2001. The United States is attacked on its own soil. Within weeks, the Patriot Act is passed, a sweeping piece of legislation framed as a temporary emergency measure. But what it actually did was give intelligence agencies unprecedented authority to monitor citizens, access private communications, and track financial transactions, all in the name of national security. It was supposed to be temporary. It was never temporary. Then, in 2020, a global pandemic arrives, and again, in the name of protection, governments around the world implement restrictions that would have been unthinkable a year earlier. Lockdowns, mandates, travel bans, emergency powers that bypassed the usual democratic process. And again, the measures that were temporary became permanent fixtures. The pattern is always the same. First, there is a threat. Then there is fear. Then there is a solution. One that just happens to require you to give up a little more of your freedom. And by the time the threat passes, the freedom is gone, and no one notices because they forgot they ever had it. Now, what kind of threat would be powerful enough to make every nation on Earth unite under a single global authority? Not terrorism. Terrorism is national. Nations still have disagreements about borders, about trade, about ideology. Not a pandemic. We watched countries fight over vaccines and close their borders to each other. But an extraterrestrial threat, an enemy from beyond the atmosphere, that's different. That crosses every border, every political divide, every cultural difference. For the first time in human history, every government on Earth would have the same enemy, and every government on Earth would have a reason to merge under the protection of a single global security structure. There are two ways this plays out, and honestly, both of them lead to the same place. The first scenario, the phenomenon is real. If there are genuinely unidentified craft operating in our airspace, and the evidence, even from official sources, is increasingly difficult to dismiss, then governments have almost certainly known about this for decades. Maybe they've made contact. Maybe there are agreements we've never been told about. If that's the case, this revelation isn't transparency. It's theater. It's a controlled release of selected information designed to generate a specific reaction at a specific moment for specific purposes. You're not being told the truth. You're being told the version of the truth someone decided you should hear. The second scenario, it's manufactured. Governments have hidden advanced technology for decades. The stealth bomber was classified for years. GPS started as a military secret. The gap between classified military technology and what the public knows about has always been enormous. Strange objects in the sky, ones that seem to defy physics, could just as easily be the result of programs so classified that even most of the military doesn't know about them. In that case, the alien threat is a performance. A very elaborate, very expensive, very convincing performance. But a performance designed to build towards something. Either way, the destination is the same. A threat from the sky. A population united by fear. A global authority rising to meet it. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. I'm not telling you aliens are real. I'm not telling you they're not. What I'm telling you is that the people who have spent 80 years hiding information don't suddenly become the people who share it, unless the sharing serves them. Pay attention to who is presenting this narrative. Pay attention to what solutions they're already proposing. Pay attention to the international organizations that are already talking about global responses to global threats. History doesn't repeat itself exactly, but it rhymes. And right now, the rhythm sounds very familiar. We are about to live through years that will test what we think we know about our government, about our world, about reality itself. Things will be revealed that challenge everything. Some of those revelations will be true. Some will be designed to look like truth. The only weapon against that is a mind that won't stop asking questions. Not paranoia, not fear, just the stubborn insistence on asking, who benefits? So whether what appears in the sky turns out to be extraterrestrial, experimental, or entirely fabricated, don't just look up and wonder. Look up with your eyes open.